the AMFI data that is just coming in this time as well. For large cap fund inflow, that's at around 3,452 crores versus 1,769 crores month on month basis. Small cap fund also seeing an inflow, considerable uptick there also. What we're seeing, 3,772 crores for the small cap, while the mid cap inflow is at around 4,683 crores versus last month 3,130 crores. Overall equity inflow, look at that, is there at 41,865 crores versus 34,393 crores. So this is for the mutual fund data for the month of October that we've seen coming in. Keep an eye out on that. We'll wait out for that SIP number that's going to be there in the con call. But seems like that small cap fund, those inflows in the small cap and the mid cap, which we've seen that uptake, seems like that trend seems to be continuing as of now. There's an increase considerably in the mid cap fund flow inflow that you're seeing, 4,683 versus just 3,000. So that's interesting to watch out for over there. That's the AMFI data that we're watching out for as of now. So yes, keeping an eye out on. And okay, we do have Abhishek Tiwari joining in with us as of now, as well as Manish Mehta also, who is joining in with us to talk to us about the AMFI data. Abhishek, what are you looking at it in terms of the first cut of the AMFI data? Equity inflows surely continue to see an uptick there. SIP number, that's what we'll watch out for. But on the first look, how is it looking?
Yeah, Vinnii, I think you're right that the equity strength continues. I think there's no doubt about that. I think on all aspects, but I think it's also a good trend for maybe a few months now. On a trot, we are seeing large caps making a comeback, which is clearly signifying that investors are becoming a little conscious on the valuation. But having said that, when you look at the other aspects of sales as well, which is the sectoral thematic or small cap, as you rightly said some time back, even they are continuing strong. So it's a good trend which is going towards large cap, because obviously from a valuation adjustment perspective, it looks like, you know, more in favor of large caps. But having said that, I think the rest of it also continues. So all in all, good times for equity.
Absolutely, all in all, good times for equity. But Manish, good afternoon, and thank you also for joining in with us. I want to know that, you know, right now, Abhishek was also alluding to that large cap number, right? And when I'm looking at it right now, for this month, we're seeing the large cap fund inflow is at around 3,452. Last month was just 1,769. So almost doubling, right, in terms of this number for the inflows for large cap. Do you think that's a trend that will continue?
So I think, as we mentioned earlier also, that primarily on valuation basis, the last couple of months, I think the house view has always been that, overweight large caps and be a little marginal underweight or neutral weight mid caps and small caps. So I think investors have also realized that and, are sort of allocating more money into large cap category of products. And even if you look at the multi-cap or the flexi-cap kind of category of funds where an investor gets the benefits of, maybe allocating money into one scheme, which then sort of, divides monies into large cap, mid caps and small cap. Over there also, I think in general, most funds are currently overweight large cap. And given the volatility of the markets were, I think investors are somewhere comforting with the fact that it's good to be with the large caps at this point of time. And I think a very good trend that we've at least been seeing, and I think I would also attribute a lot to our mutual fund distributors and financial advisors that, continue to keep allocating monies through SIPs and STPs and keep some dry powder ready, that on days when markets see, sharp corrections or volatility, maybe you could make in that one additional lump sum also.
Absolutely, that does make sense. And given that we're seeing so much volatility in the market, Abhishek, just a word in terms of the sectoral and thematic funds, right? While obviously there are some concerns that people do highlight about it, this time what we're seeing in the flow also, 12,278 versus 13,255, bit of a decline there. So do you think that the run-up that we're seeing for these thematic funds, or the interest for thematic funds, is that going to be starting to coming down or reducing there? What is the trend that we're expecting?
No, I think Vinnii, it is very, very honestly very difficult to put a trend on a month, but I think it will be important for us to draw a little longer term picture and say that if you were to look at the last whole year, practically 1/3 of the flows have belonged to sector and thematic, right? So it's been a very, very strong force at the speed that which flows is. and it has also got justified with performance on most of the sectoral and thematic trends. Having said that, I think in a month like this, which has got preceded by a humongous amount of volatility into certain sectors, you're bound to see some knee-jerk reactions. So I won't read too much into 1 month. Having said that, as Manish was also mentioning, I think our house view has been since April that large caps and some of the sectors which stand stronger on earnings growth clearly stand out on a risk-adjusted basis. Investors will do well in terms of looking at certain themes which are more long-term in nature, rather than themes which are only narrative-driven and maybe only policy and reforms-driven. So we have been conscious of that as a fund house. I will only request investors to look at that. But having said that, I won't read too much into a month and say the trend is broken.
Okay. Just that equity inflow number looking very exciting at 41,865. I think it's a very, very good number. I don't think we've seen such a high number in a while, at least when I'm looking at it in the historical data that is there so far. The last time it was somewhere around 40,865, but this one is surely interesting. Manish, just a word in terms of the mid-small cap side. Also, I just want to know what is it that we're watching out for, and for hybrid funds, how do you see that shaping up? Is that something one should watch out for?
So I think as far as mid caps and small caps are concerned, definitely investor interest will be there to look at allocating money into these kind of products. And whenever we have had queries regarding wanting to allocate money, I think it's very clear. If one's looking at those kind of products, obviously it has to be an outlook has to be really long term, like 5 years, 10 years kind of a thing. And at the same time, maybe an SIP or an STP would be a prudent way of taking some nibbling into mid caps and small caps rather than trying to do something lump sum, because you could have some kind of negative experience, in case if volatility increases. As far as hybrid as a category is concerned, if you look at the entire category of balanced advantage funds or the multi-asset allocation funds, I think a lot of investors who probably trying or I would say just testing the waters by investing in mutual funds for the first time, these are very good products to look at, because at the end of the day, in India, as I always say, that you can never stay out of equity. Your skin in the game has to be there. And in case if someone is maybe trying it out for the first time, these are good products to look at, because based on the models that they run, based on the PE models or the different models that they run, there will always be some allocation to equities, and whatever the outlook the models give, they will keep rebalancing the equity aspects. So these products over a long period of time have generated returns which have been a little debt plus, I would say. So I think a lot of new investors, as they start their journey into mutual fund investments, these could be very good products to take that first step.
Okay, thank you so much, Manish, as well as Abhishek, for joining in with us this afternoon and explaining our viewers the AMFI data, what it is looking like, what we should expect as well. That was experts joining in with us for the AMFI data, an exciting inflow number that we're seeing coming in this time in terms of equities.